Good afternoon. This is the online tutorial class for Financial Management, Unit 9, about working capital management and policy. Okay, the first questions. Which of the following will result in an increase in net working capital? And there are 5 different situations. Now, before we start to answer this question, we need to define what is working capitals. Okay, and you will find that the working capital is being worked by using the current assets minus the current liabilities, and we can work out the working capital of a company. And what are the typical example of the of the current assets? Now, most often we have the typical example of the current assets like cash, account receivable, and turnover. And for current assets, current liabilities, those liabilities should be settled within 1 year, including what? Account payable, not payable, or those accrued expenses. Okay, then after we have defined these 2 important items, then we can work out the working capital and what will be the implication of the concerning result in different situations. Now, for the first one, looking at the first one, and there is an increase in cash. Okay, that means there is an increase in current assets. And you will find that if there is an increase in the current assets, and then the result of the working capital will be increased also. Okay, because that is increased. And finally, the net working capital will be increased. And second one, a decrease in the account payable. Okay, that means there is a decrease in the current liabilities. Okay, because of that, the net working capital will also be increased. Third one, an increase in the note payable. That means there is an increase in the current liabilities. Okay, because of that, you will find that the net working capital will not increase but decrease, and that's why this is not correct. Okay, and the fourth one, a decrease in account receivable. That means there is a decrease in the current assets. Okay, because of that, that will be also the working capital will be decreased rather than increase. The last one, increase in inventory, and that is a current assets, and that's why the current assets will be increased in total, and the result of the net working capital will be increased also. Okay, similar to A, and that will answer the question number 1. Okay, second questions. If a firm inventory turnover ratio increase, what will happen to the firm's cash cycles? Now, first of all, we need to define those key terms in the questions. The first one is the operating cycle. And about the operating cycle, you need to define how to work out the operating cycle. That will be 2 important items: the day in the inventory and the average collection period. And the concerning formula for the days sales in the inventory will be like that, and the average collection period will be based on these equations, and these 2 add up will be the operating cycles. And for the day sales in the inventory, that stands for the acquisition of the raw material and process the raw material into finished goods and sell the finished goods away, and that will be the day sales in the inventory. And for the average collection period, that is about the sales of the goods, and then you collect the money from your debtors. Okay, that is the debt collection. And then The third one will be about the cash cycles. Now the cash cycles is using the operating cycle minus the average payment period. And that's why we need to work out the operating cycles and the average payment period. Then we can work out the cash cycles. And the cash cycles is stand for what? It stand for the firm required to collect the to finance, to have the money to finance the company in this period of the time. And that's why that is an important indicator for the company to know about how long this cash cycle lasts for, in order to prepare for the sufficient money for this period of the time. Okay, because of that, according to the question, if the inventory turnover ratio increase, what will happen to the cash cycles? Now, if the inventory turnover ratio increase, that means the number of days to sell away the inventory will be shorter. And because of that, there will be a decrease the day sales in the inventory. And finally, because of that, the overall cash cycle will be decreased. Now, by looking at this one, because this operation cycle decrease, and finally, the cash cycles will be decreased. And because of that, you will find that if the inventory turnover ratio increase, the day sales in the inventory will be decreased, and finally the cash cycle will also be decreased. Okay, that will be the interrelationship between this cycle. Okay, third question. What purpose does the discount on credit terms serve, and what is the cost of such discount to the offering firm? Now for this one, there are two parts. First part is about the purpose of the discount on the credit term serves. Okay, that's right. The purpose of this cash discount mainly is to increase the firm cash cycle, firm cash flow. Okay, and if you offer the cash cycles to your debtors, and that will give them an incentive and to encourage them to repay the credit before the scheduled due date, and so that it will increase the cash flow earlier for the company to use. And that is important for companies to have sufficient cash flow in order to take those important decisions on, and also it's a must for a company to have sufficient cash flow for their daily operation transaction requirement. And that's why that is one of the requirements that is for the transaction facilitations. And the second one may be those compensating balance requirement by the banker. And the third one, if in case there is an investment opportunity arise, then we will take this investment opportunities with the cash. Okay, that is the important things related. Okay, about the cost. And the cost of offering the cash discount, basically that should be the difference between the full amount and the discount amount of the credit. Okay, that will be this difference. Now we look at one example to illustrate. Assume that there is an invoice which is 10,000 in original. Now the concerning credit terms is 2/10 net 30. That is commonly used in the invoice. Okay, what does this mean? That means if the concerning debtor settle the account earlier within 10 days, they will enjoy 2% discount. The maximum day, the credit period is 30 days. net. Now assume the debtor pay on day 10, and this debtor is just required to pay 9,800 to the company only. And that's why to this company, the cost is the difference between the original amount and this amount. And finally, that will be the cost to the company. That is the cash discount. Okay. Okay, the fourth one about another company is John Boyd Industry, have a cash balance 45,000, account payable 125,000, inventory 175,000, account receivable 210,000, note payable 120,000, accrued wages and tax 37,000. How much net working capital does the firm need to fund? Oh, sorry, that should be need. Okay, that means you need to work out the net working capital, and you know about the equation is using the current assets minus the current liability. That's why we need to identify all the items belong to current assets and current liabilities. Okay, that's why this one current assets. Okay, this one current liabilities. This one current assets. This one current assets. This one current liabilities. This one current liabilities. Okay, that's why we have identified all this 1 2 3 1 2 3. Okay, and then we add them up. This is all the current assets of the company, John Boyd, and this is all the current liability of the company. Okay, then we can work out the net working capital is 148,000 of the company. Okay, the fifth one. If a firm have a cash cycle of 54 days and an operating cycle of 77 days, and what is the payable turnover amount? Now, for this one, you need to make use of the original formula related to the cash cycles. Okay, by looking at that, the cash cycle is using the operating cycle minus the average payment period. And according to that, the information provided right here, we can work out the cash cycles. We can work out the payment period. Okay, that's why because of that, we substitute into the formula, and then we can work out the average payment period is 23 days. Okay, 23 days. But how many times? The question is asking you about the payable turnover ratio. That is how many times. That's why in order to work out the payable turnover, we are required to use the 365 days to find out the number of times it turnover in a year. Okay, that's why we will using 365 days divided by 23 days, and finally we can work out it turnover 15.87 times in a year. Okay, for this payable turnover, it stands for what? It stands for a short-term liquidity measure, and that is used to quantify the rate at which the company pay off its creditor. Okay, the sixth one. And suppose that the Ken Isaac Art Gallery have an annual sales of $870. Cost of goods sold is $560,000. Average inventory $244,500. Average account receivable $265,000, and an average account payable balance $79,000. And assume that all the sales are on credit. And what will be the firm cash? And what will be the firm cash flow? And that's been asking you about the cash cycle. Okay, because of that, as we all know that the day sales in the inventory add up with the average correction period. These two will be equal to the operating cycles, and then the operating cycle minus the average payment period, then we can work out the cash cycles. Okay, that's why we will make use of this relationship to work out the third cash flow cycle. Okay, because of that, we can make use of those information to work out the number of days related to the days sales in the inventory. Okay, first of all, we will substitute the inventory amount is 244,500, and then the cost of goods sold 560,000 times 365 days. Okay, that will be the first part. The second part will be the average collection period, and then we will make use of the account receivable 265,000 and over the credit sales 870,000 and times 365 days, and finally we can work out the day sales in inventory is 159.36 days, and then the average collection period is 111.18 days. That's why the operating cycle is at around 270.54 days. Okay, now we will work out the first part about the operating cycles of the company. The second part, now we will work on the payment. Okay, the payment period, and that will be using the account payable over the cost of goods sold. Okay, that's why that will be 79,000 over the cost of goods sold 560,000 and times 365 days, and that's why the average payment period is at around 51.49 days. And because of that, we can make use of the operating cycle. The total number of days is 270.54 days minus this payment period 51.49 days, and finally we can work out the cash cycle day is 219.5 days. Okay, the second one, and there is the Rose Alex company facing a smooth annual demand for a cash of 5 million. That is the annual cash requirement for a company. Okay, then incur a transaction cost of $275 per every time the company sells the marketable security. That is the transaction cost. Okay, and then the market interest rate, that is 4.3%. And asking to what is the optimum cash replenishment level. By looking at this one, we will adopt the Balmer model. Okay, and because it doesn't have any information about the standard deviations, and it is quite rigid in the cash usage of the company, and that's why we should use the Balmer model to calculate. Okay, first of all, if you are the presentation group, you should give some brief explanation on this model. For example, this model is based on what assumption? It doesn't have any cash inflow, it just have cash outflow, and also the cash outflow is quite constant throughout the period, and also there is no buffer that can be decided by the company for the unexpected cash demand. And that's why there is a major criticism, that is the weaknesses. Okay, that is quite unrealistic for the company, but no matter how, that is one of the method that can help us to work out a figures, and that is the cash replenishment amount, and you give some idea to the company the appropriate amount that they should keep in the company. Okay, and basically, and you can showing how this model are being derived, and we'll based on this diagram, this simple concept, and that is when the transaction cost is equal to the holding cost or the opportunity cost, where the two line meet. The intercept point is the optimum cash balance point. Okay, and we can based on this diagram to work out this equation, and then using this equation to find out the optimum replenishment cash amount. Okay, because of that, we will make use of the formula of the Baumol model to work out the optimum cash replenishment level. Okay, and the C star. Okay, the C star, this is the square root of 2 times the total annual demand of the cash flow times the transaction cost over the interest rate. Okay, then we can identify the annual demand for the cash for the company in a year is 5 million, and every transaction cost to sell the security away is 275. The interest rate is 4.3, and then we substitute into the formula. We can work out the replenishment level for every time the company are required to sell the security and top it up. That should be 252,890. And you can also make use of that to work out the other information. Okay. Okay, the eighth one. Another company, Veggie Burgers Industry, would like to maintain its cash amount at the minimum level of 245,000, but expect the standard deviation in the net daily cash flow to be 12,000. The effect of the annual rate of the marketable security to be 3.7% per year, and the trading cost per sales or purchase of the marketable security to be 27.5 per transaction. What will be the optimum upper cash limit? Now, by looking at this one, because it mentioned about the standard deviation of the net daily cash flow, it allows the fluctuation of the cash amount of the company, and that's why it means that there will be possible an inflow of the cash and outflow of the cash also, and also different day will have different amount of the cash balance, and because of that, what we can apply should be another model. It's the mirror all model. Okay, and we will apply the mirror all model and to work out the replenishment amount, and then we will work out the upper limit of the cash flow of the company. Okay, and according to that, and if you are the presentation group, the same, you should briefly mention about this model and what are the strengths of this model. For example, this model, they will assume the cash flow is normal distributed. It allows the company will have inflow and the outflow of the cash, and also the cash flow can be deviate different in different days, and also it can also let the company to set the cash buffer, and so that in case of emergency they still have some cash to facing this kind of the emergency situations, and that is the strength of this model. And for this model, and you have two formula that can help us to decide the replenishment level and also the upper level of the amount of the company will keep in the company of the cash flow. Okay, because of that, we will first of all required to work out this replenishment amount, and then using this as the second formula to work out the upper limit. Okay, and because of that, the equation in the optimum level required to have the daily interest rather than the annual interest, and the question provides you about the interest 3.7 is an annual rate. Okay, because of that, we need to work out the daily rate first, and to work out the daily rate, we can work it out. Okay, tries to have more decimal point. Okay, if you don't include so many decimal point, possibly you can't work it out. Okay, the daily interest for this one, if we include a 4 decimal point, that will be 0.001. And then I will substitute this information into the formula and to work out the figures. Okay, and then for the optimum replenishment level, according to the equations, and we can work it out, is 276,000 and 15.57. And then using this C star, we can work out the upper limit, and that will be 3 times the replenishment amount minus the 2 times the lower limit. No, not the lower limit. That should be that should be the minimum. That should be lower limit. Okay, that's why that will be 245,000. Okay, that we can work out the upper limit. That will be 338,046.71. Okay, um, that will be the answer for all the tutorial question. If you have any question on the tutorial question, you may ask me in the chat room.